All right, what up, everybody? We are live. This is session 15 of the Storm King's Thunder campaign. I'm feeling a little loopy today, a little under the weather, so I apologize in advance for the sniffling and whatever madness comes out of my mouth. But previously, we left off in the mountains of the Icewind Dales. The party had been tracking the frost giants who kidnapped Sirik, son of Artis Cimber, for a couple of days. It was at that point, after about the third or second day, I believe, second day, they stumbled upon the frost giant encampment and planned an ambush of some kind, a way to sneak into the camp, but weren't able to come up with a decent enough idea for a distraction. Turns out that 5 small little people don't think that they can run up and just fight 10 frost giants head on. So they waited and they discussed the plan, and the plan came to them in the form of Ice Claws, aka Aviaturis, the ancient white dragon of the Icewind Dales. And she turned out to be kind of pissed off at the frost giants, saying that they have stolen her children, her spawn, and threatened death to all of them. And that is what basically tried to ensue. The dragon dropped down and started to fight, causing a perfect distraction for the party, who was able to get in the possession of Sirik again, rescuing him. But the frost giants were able to overcome the dragon. Definitely not because the DM had the oversight of not realizing that frost giants are immune to cold until it was much too late, but that's a small detail. And when the dragon was destroyed, an avalanche began, and the party was forced to toboggan down the avalanching mountain in a frost giant's shield, where after many, many fails of the dice rolls, they were able to come tumbling over a mountaintop, landing into the snow abruptly. And that is when a giant approached them. A frost giant, slowly in the distance, approaching, and Sunlit, the fearsome tabaxi monk that she is, stood up to that frost giant and called out the name Harshnag, the frost giant that they've been searching for. And to everyone's surprise, that was exactly the giant that met them. He told them that there was much to talk about, but first, you all needed to rest. Make camp, and he'll be back with some firewood. And that is where we start, is you're somewhere along this mountainside, having freshly landed in this snow. The frost giant's shield is still there. You look above, and the occasional snowdrop still tumbles over the mountaintop, the aftermath of this avalanche. And I'm going to say at this point, it's been about an hour since Harshnag has left. And you guys are still kind of waiting for him to come back. So what's everybody doing? I'll get a prerogative from everybody, starting with Octavius, because he just unmuted.
Octavius would be looking over the frost giant shield, hopefully finding a strap of leather, lightly or heavily studded, and he would rip that off of the shield and try to go over and find a little area by himself. He would undo his armor, kneel, and start to slowly lash himself with this leather-studded strap off of the shield. And he would just stay by himself, and you would hear small twinges of excruciating pain coming from off to the side.
And as you hear the cracking of this leather band and the wincing of Octavius, Belladora kind of gives a cockeyed look to the party. Does he always do this? It's kind of weird.
I have a feeling Levy would be conflicted in the...
Yeah.
I would approach him and be like, what are you doing? But at the same time, I feel like she'd also go like, no, there is some I believe is it a religious thing for Tavius? Yeah.
Give me a history check on Mr. Octavius.
Sure thing.
Let's see how well you know your friend. You've only been traveling with him for about 3 months now? 2 months?
She's, oh goodness, yeah, she's
7.
just like, she's going over there like, what are you doing? Like, TV. Like, she would be full on interrupting because this is very new to her.
So Octavius would just try to explain to Livy that I'm not strong enough yet. I must become stronger.
Sure as hell ain't going to be getting stronger.
I must suffer in the eyes of Ilmater to be able to handle this.
And
This is
but
yeah.
is there
He would
like
basically
wells or keep bleeding at any point, or is
hopefully.
Livy's just like
Octavius is still pretty beat up from the frost giant fight.
yeah, and
So you already see that he's bleeding
she's
and
like
probably
even looking
waving.
at her own rib, just like no. How? Explain how? Because this, you're just going to weaken yourself. We are in ice.
Back in the ages of the priests of Ilmater, there were special true pain bearers. There were specialty priests, and I'm just trying to fulfill part of that and see if I can pull power from Ilmater to help us fight these giants. These things are too strong. I must become stronger.
With him listing Ilmater, can I do another check on just like, does she know this deity, like a religion check?
Yeah, go ahead and do it a religion check at advantage to see how much you can. Now you're like, oh yeah, it'll matter. I should have known that.
If you explain, yeah, I could actually explain this really well if she passed.
Yeah. So just if you just ask him straight up, he'll talk to you about
I
it.
rolled 2 ones, but here we go. She's probably just like, Ilmater is 16. Kind of give the
Ilmater is the god of endurance.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to ask Octavius, I'm sure he would give you even more knowledge of the
Yeah,
power.
okay. Then yeah, she would just kind of say like, Ilmater, sort of endurance. How is beating yourself up endurance? Like, I understand when you run and you work the muscles, or when you work the muscles, it builds up strength in which you can endure more. How is beating yourself doing this? Like,
Ilmater is also the god of suffering. He is the god of taking the pain from others and being able to handle it onto ourselves. It is important for us to be able to strengthen through suffering.
Okay, I'm gonna go sit back down and suffer quietly and try not to listen to you. And listen to your suffering.
He would also mention the name Champions of the Noble Heart. And basically, by this point, he would probably start to be feeling a little weaker, so, he might be slurring his words.
Like, I was about ready to be like, Livy would just go sit and be like, let me know when you're ready for a heal spell. I'm like, you're not playing that character, Mary. She doesn't have heal spells. Boom. Let me just take a few more, just pointed breaths, I guess, or I don't know. And just, okay. And we'll go back to the others and just go.
Sirik would
I don't get
kind
it.
of speak up and say that he's seen this kind of behavior before, being a young acolyte of the House of the Triad, the god of Tyr, the god of justice, Torm, the god of courage, and Ilmater, the god of endurance and suffering, are the 3 gods that they practice there. And he would say that often when the priests felt like they weren't doing enough or helping enough, that this is a way that they would show it, to suffer this pain in the eyes of Ilmater to them is to essentially take it away from somebody else. And
after Sirik said that, Octavius would tell Livy the story of Althea the Abased, and after she became the leader to the House of the Broken God, she was dragged by mules across the whole country, visiting every little town. And every time the mules stopped for her to get up and actually go into the temples, she would be beaten. And that would be a severe martyrdom or suffering for her to go through to become stronger in her faith.
Okay.
Can I roll a stealth check?
Sure.
Right in a second.
He's gonna stealth out. Whoosh.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just roll a stealth check.
Oh, crazy.
Okay. Stealth it up.
Mm-hmm.
Snow Kitty. 13.
Sure. I'm going to whilst the whole story is being told, kind of walk off a little bit and then walk back into the scene and straight punch Octavius right in the face.
So roll an attack against them then.
Yeah. I don't want to use. Let's see something. I don't think I have that around. I don't. Okay. All right. It's 7.
So basically, Octavius, you see a punch coming from Sunlit. It's up to you what you want to do at this point.
Yeah, Octavius would do a quick head nod, like a head dodge, and friend. But that's not exactly how it works. I'll leave that for the judge.
I thought you wanted pain, so I there's no better pain than a surprising pain, right? Or am I not understanding?
And you're right. I really appreciate the thought, but I'll I can do it myself right now. Thank you.
Well, whenever you want some help with the pain, you let me know, because I'm trying to use this new weapon, and I don't really know how to use it well yet. If that's a thing, I don't know. Yeah, there was back in Azteca, there was a cat that was always known to be not intelligent, and he liked to have pain. Does that make you unintelligent?
I think it makes them a
I
master.
hope.
A what?
He just goes back like nothing.
No, you said what?
Someone who likes pain, particularly.
Do you enjoy that pain, Octavius?
No, I don't enjoy the pain, but I must be able to endure and suffer through it. It will make me stronger.
She is very puzzled. She doesn't get this concept at all. And she looks over towards the guy that's been slightly nicer recently and goes, "You have a lot of pain too, don't you? There, you, Warren. It's just different though. Yours seems to be inside."
I think I broke a rib on the trip down. It pains me a little.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've been nicer recently.
There. Gonna have to fix that then.
Why?
I like the nicer you.
Mhm.
Living pipes up.
Yeah. Hey, I got an idea. There, Octavius. I would just smack yourself a few more times, and maybe you'll take the pain away from him, and he'll be nicer all the time. And she laughs.
That is actually exactly what my teachings prophesize. Through my pain, I will be able to take the pain from others away.
No way. Is that working, Warren?
Yeah. He's the fool. It's bullshit.
Maybe just be like, I still feel like crap.
And Sonny walks over to Warren and goes, "I told you, there's a crazy cat in our village. Did the same thing. Crazy."
So at this point, that darkness has quickly started to creep over the mountainside that you're on, and you're starting to realize that a pretty surmountable amount of time has passed since Harshnag has left. And you look around this icy cold, barren wasteland, just looking with the mountain to your back. You've used it as shelter against the wind. You look out into the wasteland that is all just snow and nothing but white against the dark sky. And in the distance, you see something glowing starting to approach towards you. It's shining this almost kind of blue glimmering light.
Octavius to start putting back on.
Putting armor back on. All right. Anybody else do anything as this light just seems to be bobbing in the distance closer and closer?
Sword. Yeah, let's just keep an eye on this thing and observe it. I guess if she gives it a more thorough, just kind of like look, does she recognize this shape or what it could be?
As it approaches in the distance, it's this towering, looming dark shadow with the light kind of behind it. Step by step, it gets closer and closer.
Okay.
And as you stand there waiting for it to happen, a sigh of relief comes all of you when you realize that it's Harshnag, and he has a handful of wood, and it's literally like basically trees ripped out of the ground and just the branches cleared off. And as he looms forward, you see like on his back is this glowing giant blue great axe. And he just has this wood in his arms. It's like several trees of wood, and just boof, boof, he comes, and you just see the long white beard that this frost giant has, the dragon skull as a helmet, and his well-kept plate armor. But as he moves, you just hear the groan and cracking of his bones, and you can just see the age on his face, the wrinkles, unlike any of the frost giants you've seen before. Age is visibly showing on Harshnag, and as he gets close enough, he just lets out a big sigh, drops the wood. The tree, the literal like entire trees start to bounce on the ground. He readies his axe, this giant glowing axe, and just puts one swap, chops it in half.
Livy's like gawking, just like, is that the axe? The one from the is that the Thunderdome axe?
Kind of gives you a groan. This is Gert. Gert's its name.
That's a good name. And she'll like kind of look at the price like, that's a pretty cool axe. And just kind of, I don't know, like she'd just go off and tell someone like either stopped her or overtalked her, just like about how, yeah, Grandpa talked about how when they first got together, like they were in this town and there was this like arena, and he was like, Harshnag, Simber, let's go do this big fight. And I guess Harshnag was, you weren't very much into it, but anyways, they went and did it. It was difficult. They like, I think they fought like, was it 3 or I don't know. He said that they were like owlbears, and you guys also had like a few golems or something that were going after you. But anyways, they won, and that's the axe that they won.
Is that what the fool told you? That it was an arena? That we just were looking for a fight? That's just like him.
Yeah, it sounded like quite the fight.
You see, what really happened is we ticked off someone that, well, when I say we, I mean them, ticked off a noble woman. And she kind of got off by wrongfully arresting these people and throwing them into her crucible. She called it the Lion Gems Crucible. Your grandfather, was arrested for murder.
No.
Although I admit that he didn't do it. But nonetheless, we were thrown into this cage, not expected to win. And it was way worse than an owlbear, let's just say that. But nonetheless, she underestimated us, and we came out on top. And she was first to withhold her end of the bargain.
So, how did you get the axe then? It wasn't something you didn't you win it?
It was a prize after I won it. She had no other choice but to dismiss us of our charges. And apparently, if you kill a dragon or so, you get a prize. Gert's been with me ever since. He, after chopping a couple more pieces, slams it in the snow, and it illuminates the entire area. It glows when it's cold. And he sits down against the side of the wall. Poof! You just hear, as he sits, the ground kind of shakes around you, and a plume of snow kind of billows out a bit. When do you want to light that fire? I'm tired.
So,
I don't much mind the cold, but I'm sure that you folk don't care for it so much.
is there a pile? So there's like a pile of firewood, like a
Yep. It is a pile of just trees chopped up into pieces that presumably would light on fire with a little bit of help from somebody that could do so.
Yeah, because she doesn't know really how this power works yet. But Sunny is going to do a radiant firebolt at it.
All right, radiant firebolt it.
Or sunbolt, sorry. Radiant sunbolt. So we'll do that right now. Hold down 1 second. Incoming, and here we go. Wow. 18.
So I imagine that the radiant energy does shoot out and hit into the pile of wood, but the radiant kind of energy that this bolt produces is not the same type of energy that would catch fire to wood. So as you poof, just a loud, pure beam of energy shoots from your hands, I believe, and just hits into this wood, and it actually kind of just like you hear what sounds like a searing kind of burn, but then the wood just scatters and blows away.
Damn cut, can't do anything. Lauren will wave his hand and watch the tinder burst apart. I'll just use a flame bolt.
All right. Just with a flick of your finger, you kind of shoot it into the kindling and whatnot, and it quickly starts to spark up. Barrick and Sirik kind of go around picking up the wood that Sunlit sent flying and tossing it back in. So, why are you all out here? What are you doing getting in fights with frost giants? If I didn't know any better, I would say it was Aaron and Artis themselves.
Well, we came out here to find Artis. And
this is his kid.
Found his son, in which the frost giants came and destroyed his town, and he bravely gave himself up to for whatever purpose that they were looking for.
Yeah, he told me he had a kid. He actually gave me Artis gave me one and Aaron gave me another. And he pulls out and holds again in front of you the bloodstone, 2 of each. And you guys actually used the same thing to track down Sirik after the frost giants used it to track you. So he doesn't know that, but he holds these out and he says, Artis gave me one and Aaron gave me the other when we kind of broke up as a group. You see, Artis, he went looking for his wife, Alessandra. She went missing during the spell plague, and he's been obsessed with it ever since. He thinks that she's not gone. She thinks that she's just, or not dead. She's missing. He's went off with the ring and believes that he can find her. He gave me this bloodstone to actually watch after you, Sirik. Didn't tell me your name, but he said he left his son there, and to keep an eye out. And then, as for Aaron, well, I'm sure you know, Livy, but your granddad and Artis, they both lived longer than any human can really aim to. They've actually kept up to me in the years. Artis from the ring, and Aaron from the magic that him and Fayetta have shared. Well, when he started having a family, he started to get a taste of mortality that most humans feel. A taste of his mortality, and when he had kids, he decided that it was time to call it quits. He gave me the bloodstone, and that was the last I seen of him. And Artis, a few years ago, said he was going, and he wasn't going to be found in a long time until he found Alessandra. To which Sirik speaks up and says, "That's a lie. My mother died. And my father's an asshole who just left me in this frozen town." Harshnag gives just a groan. Yeah, I could see how you would see it that way. But I tell you, little kid, he did care about you, and it broke him up to leave you. But he knew with this ring that You wouldn't be safe if he stayed. Looks back to Harshnag. And you would call this safe now? I suppose not. But anyways, I've been wandering the Icewind Dales now, hunting my frost giant kin that have outcasted me, making sure that the 10 towns are safe. I've been looking for something, and I heard tale that Bryn Shanders has come over to attack. When I got there, I was already in shambles, and the Bloodstones left me to you. So why are you all out here? Why are you looking for artists? Of what purpose?
Well, Octavius would stumble wearily over, and he would look to Harshnag, and he would start to explain their travels. He would go over the floating castle and giant that they made, and how they were told of war that's basically going on to win the ranks of the leaderships of it all. And he would say that we were sent for artists, I believe, to actually find you, so that you would be able to help us. And then you would just go on and hopefully remember exactly what had gone on in the last episodes.
Yeah. So it's actually been a fair amount of time since that's actually happened. I believe like a month or two. I could probably check, but it's definitely been some time. So I imagine that the story is a little bit fuzzy to you. But one word that springs in for whatever reason is the ordering. To which Harshnag says, "Do you know much about the ordering? What it is, what it means to giant kind?"
Isn't it something
We were told.
We were traveling with another giant in a castle.
Yes, that's what the man over there just said. Octavius.
Yeah, well, I only pay attention to him just slightly. So, but he said that that basically there's going to be a shakeup in power. Is that right?
Basically, the ordering is something that's been around since ancient times when giants actually ruled over Toril. It was put in place by the god, the one true god of giants, Anam, the Allfather. It was created when the giants warred against their ancient nemesis, the dragons. And you see, the ordering was put in place as a caste system to rank giants among another, the strongest at the top and the weakest below. The ordining's current structure is storm giants above all, and then cloud, and then fire, and then frost, stone, and hill. And even the highest ranking chief hill giant is but a mere peasant in the face of a commoner stone giant. This has been something since ancient times, and it has been respected. For a long time, King Hecaton, Storm King, giant of all giant kind, or king of all giant kind, has ruled over all. And although many giants do not necessarily get along or see eye to eye or believe that storm giants are better than all cloud giants, it is something that Hecaton has kept in check, and none dare oppose him openly.
I know
That was...
daughter.
What's that?
His daughter. It's Circe. You ever met her before?
I've never met any of the royalty.
Oh, I have.
I'm a bit of an outcast myself. Most giants don't even consider me their kin. But that was until a year ago, when the ordering was shattered. Now, to explain that to someone like you guys who aren't necessarily giants is near impossible. But for many of us, we all felt that exact moment when the Allfather had finally, for once and for all, turned away on giant kind. Those who did feel it felt it as a chance to reestablish their position among giant kin. Hecaton was able to keep the giants in check, though. None dare openly strike against him, So all the giant lords of each giant kind lurked in the shadows, preparing for an opportunity to take their position if the opportunity arose. Now, I don't talk to giants anymore. When I do, it's usually taking their heads off. But I heard a rumor that a few months ago, both Queen Yuri, Hecaton's wife, and soon after Hecaton went missing. They're both believed to be dead, and many have taken this as their time to come. So the giant lords finally began to spring their plans into action, all of them with their plots now to appease the Allfather and once and for all position themselves where they think they belong, at the top of all giants and top of the world, ruling over all who are under them. That is why the ordning being shattered is a catastrophic event for not only giants, but all who live on this land. Take my brother, for example. I don't know if you would have heard of him, but I'm sure these frost giants would have mentioned his name. Jarl Strolvad. He looks to you to see if anyone is like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. Octavius would nod in affirmation.
Before the ordning was shattered, I was outcasted by my father, who passed away many years ago, and Strolvad took reign, leading the giants. He has always believed that the Allfather wanted the world reshaped in the ice that never melts. It's been a dream of his to swallow the entire world in ice and kill all those who can't live in its climate, a climate only suitable for frost giants. That is the plan that Strolvad would be looking to do right now. And if you haven't put it together yet, the reason he's after Cyric is because he thought Cyric was Artis. And Artis has the Ring of Winter. Did your grandfather tell you anything about that, girl?
I'd like to think that she probably did. But
roll me a history to see how much you know about Le Ring of Winter. That's French.
Boo. Hey.
19. So yeah, you've Aaron Connor, your grandfather, has definitely spoke of Artis and his ring. Now, what he would have told you is that it was named the Ring of Winter for one, which to you as a child probably took it no more than just like this magical, cool ring. But he would tell you of all the crazy things that it could do, like prevent him from aging. Artis lived for way longer than any human ever could live. He said that it had the ability to animate ice itself to life and form like ice-like creatures. Artis's favorite thing to do was actually make a giant ice vulture and ride on it. And apparently it made all magical items near it even more powerful, to a point where it could actually be dangerous. And the ice capabilities of this ring, he told you, were enough. He would always joke about it, but would say it would be enough to freeze the entire world if Artis wanted to.
Wow. She'd rattle that back, just like, oh yeah, you talk about this and this and this. And is it true?
It's very true.
Wow.
There are a few magical artifacts as powerful as that ring. That's why Artis was always so cautious with it. Another problem is that the ring itself is sentient, and it is constantly trying to corrupt the mind of that who wields it. The Harpers always bothered Artis to give it up so they can lock it away, but he always felt that the power would be too strong for anyone else, and that if he passed it on to somebody, that it would corrupt their minds. That's why he seeks isolation. He went far away. He didn't tell me where, but to look for his lost wife. I doubt even the frost giants will be able to find him, although my brother's quest to freeze the world will not end. I'm sure he'll rampage across all of Faerun, the Sword Coast, until he finds it.
Okay.
You talk a lot.
I don't enjoy it, so you better have been listening, because I'm not going to repeat myself.
Octavius would ask Harshnag if he thought there was any chance of his brother actually getting the Ring of Winter.
Artis has always been smart. He's definitely not the first to try to get it from him. Centaurum, dragons, anything with a quench for power has always sought that ring, and probably always will. Yet Artis is still the one with it.
Octavius would then ask how resilient Artis seemed to the mind-bending effects of the ring, and if he thought over time it would have taken its toll.
That I do not know. Whenever I was with Artis, he would only use it when needed, and he always seemed to have a grip on it. But I know not of the corruptive capabilities, only that of which Artis has told me. I think that he's a strong-minded human, one of the strongest-minded humans that I've ever met.
When was the last time you've seen him?
I think you said a few years ago.
Many years ago.
I don't know the number of many.
5 or more.
That sounds like a personal problem.
Right.
Say, Harshnag, that we were sent to stop the confusion of the Ordning. Say that we wanted to be able to help the caste system of the Giants and end this war. What do you think our next step should be?
That is something that I have thought about myself. For me, unlike many of my giant kin, I share not the love of war and destruction of those smaller than me. Is why my father kicked me out of the clan. Now, to stop this, I have no idea. Giants have waited for an opportunity like this for centuries. But like I said, I've been looking for something, and I think I know, if any, an entity that could tell us what to do, or at least what's going on. That entity is called the Eye of the Allfather.
Oh, Eye of the Allfather. Could that be a history check there again?
Sure, if you want to history check it.
I think at this point there'd be small drips of blood coming out from underneath Octavius's armor, and he would probably go and sit down somewhere.
Wouldn't Arcana, by chance, help with the...
You can give it a Arcana if you want, for sure. I might give you a little different information, but...
Yes, yeah, totally.
So, Corey, I'm going to share that map, but it's going to come up in two forms because the map is so massive that it's split into two pieces. So you'll have to right-click it and then go to the minimize button and then resize it to smaller size, or else it's just going to blow up your screen. But I will share that to you right now.
Thank you.
And then I will check to see what everybody rolled. So we got a 16 on Warren for an Arcana and a History 13. So Livy would not have heard of the Eye of the Allfather. Now, strangely enough, and you can tell me how Warren Dell would know this, but in giant lore, I guess, the one true god of the giants is Anam, the Allfather, and then there's offsprings of other giants like Tirim, the god of frost, that is a frost giant god that like a frost giant would worship. And then between that giant, the lesser gods, and the Allfather, there would be this thing called the Oracle, or the Eye of the Allfather. And apparently this Oracle was able to let the lesser gods communicate with Anam and tell all the giants what Anam actually wanted from them. So that's what you would have heard of that. It'd probably be like really heavily based in lore because not a lot of people actually study giant kind anyways. but that is something that for some reason would come to your mind.
Yeah, Warren will, tell you guys basically what he knows about that. During all these months up in the Cloud Giant's castle there, he spent quite a bit of time in the library. So probably picked through something there and found something in there. Nothing majorly that would have probably found important or anything until now, just kind of jogs his memory a little bit about, something maybe he found in one of those books.
Yeah, that absolutely makes 100% sense. You would have seen, and it probably would have been pretty hard for you to read because I imagine a lot of it would have been written in Giant. So you kind of probably spent your time with like Octavius kind of briefly translating and whatnot. So like it's kind of all like muddled to you. But yeah, definitely something about an oracle and basically an entity that is like a link between the one true God and what he wants the giants to do.
So more of a being and not a object.
More of a force than an actual being. Now, I've spent my time getting old as it gets harder and harder to fight my brethren and keep them at bay. I've wondered about this oracle that I've heard of, an entity that is the direct link to the Allfather himself, said to be lost in the spine of the world, to which you guys would know that that's like the equivalent of as north goes and like has been mapped. Beyond the spine of the world is kind of like not much is known about it. It's considered a pretty unsurvivable place of like heavy, crazy winter storms. You're said to just freeze to death in an instant. It's so cold out there.
So it's like over the wall.
Yeah, but worse. Because this is high fantasy.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's the same thing as like over the wall. Very little is known about it, but he says that it was said that the eye of the Allfather was lost in the spine of the world. I wandered the spine for many years until I finally came across an old osteria building, a fortress in the mountains. When I went inside, the ruins itself seemed ancient even in terms of giant language, and a giant door blocked me from whatever is in the inside. Markings and etchings, intricate things that I've never seen a giant even be able to make, marked this giant door. I believe that is the entry to the eye of the Allfather. Although try as I might, I could not get that door to open. I could not find another way in.
I see it right here on the map. I'm just being silly. But okay, so now where are we on this map per se?
All right, you are, if you look up north, I don't have the map in front of me, but you'll see Bryn Shanders.
Yep.
And then to the left of that is the Sea of the Moving Ice. You're basically right beside the Sea of the Moving Ice, kind of to the northwest-ish area. I believe there might be a D&D logo.
Yeah, D&D logo right there?
Yeah, that's where I marked the party basically being.
Okay.
Give or shape, though, because like that's obviously a massive amount of area, but that's roughly where you guys are.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. So, how far are we from the water?
You guys, give me a perception check. Anyone that wants to do that.
Yeah, I would like to do that. This is what I ask. Here. So, come on. Give me my character sheet. I don't want to close these things. Yeah.
You're really taking your time to look.
I know, I really am. Mostly because.
So yeah, now that nighttime has come and basically only the crackling of fire can be heard in this kind of area, the wind has died down a bit. You would hear the sounds of what sounds like ice on ice grinding in the distance, and it kind of echoes and reverberates across this entire canvas of snow. if you were to speak up about what that is, someone would tell you that that's the sea of the moving ice, which apparently is this massive sea of, you guessed it, moving ice.
Yeah. So
So
does
you're
that mean
in
that's where
distance.
is that where the ocean kind of is?
It is a ocean.
Okay.
The sea of the moving ice eventually connects to the Sea of Swords.
Yeah, which is where she had to cross. But much more south from here.
Yes.
Okay. It's she has an
Now,
idea that she'd like to try, but it's gonna be a bit.
Harshnag would look to Octavius. You say you wish to help with the ordering.
Yes.
Why?
We believe that we have the ability to right the situation.
And
We're
tell
willing
me.
to try.
And he looks at you, and you're still pretty badly beaten. You guys haven't rested yet, and it's visible that you're pretty beat up. Why would you, one small folk, oppose giant kind and try to stop this from happening?
Because apparently we're the chosen ones.
Because there are too many innocent of our kind that would become cannon fodder in this War of the Giants.
And we're the chosen ones.
The three chosen ones.
You seem chosen, all right. Chosen for what, though? That will be seen.
The order,
Reason, yes.
it's a mess, and like I don't know, just listen. These small funds are just gonna be cannon fodder if we can't find some sort of common ground. And if the ordering is what needs to be fixed to accomplish that order again, then yes. And Rin told me that one, to find you, and two, to help fix this.
Well, you're not wrong about that. You see, these giant lords, all of their ideas and how to earn favor in the All-Father's eye all revolve around decimating this world. I'm sure they'll all war and they'll all rampage through and do what they think is right. And that will be the lives of many of your kind, many of the small folk, and worse. So, if it is something that you're honestly willing to try, then I tell you that if you thought your life was in danger now, facing frost giants and dragons and whatever else you have faced, the quest to get ahead of these warring giant lords and stopping them will be all that much more dangerous. Do you take that burden on as your own?
We do.
Yes.
And do you all stand united in that decision? The talking cat there seems to have a mind of her own. Does she... Can you trust her? And what about you? Points to you, Warrendale. You haven't said a word about this. You willing to put your life on the line for those who you've never met?
If I must.
Tabaxi?
I'm a very long way from home. And I've been sent here to become what I'm becoming. And I lost my way for a little while. And I want to make that right. Maybe by saving this side of the water. Maybe that's my point. Because where I come from, There are no giants that I've ever seen. So, but I don't know if I could ever even go back there because the first trip almost killed me, and then I met Sirsa and her mom and her dad that you keep. Is that Hekaton?
Yes, King Hekaton, Storm King.
It wasn't very nice.
He does not have much love for small folk.
Yeah, and he didn't like that I was talking to his daughter.
Little fathers do appreciate that. Strange creatures, you see. Tabaxis aren't well known in these parts.
Especially in the middle of the ocean, probably.
Make no mistake, though, that this upheaval of giant kind will not affect just Faerun, not just the north and the Sword Coast. The giants will not stop until they reshape this world as they believe fit in the eyes of the Allfather. It will start here, but it will spread.
And you really think they could come to Mazteca?
You said yourself that you flew in a castle by the cloud giants. You think that castle cannot flow over the sea. You think that the storm giants themselves can live in the ocean. The frost giants have ships the size of your cities. Nothing will stop them. We must find out what's truly happening in Maelstrom.
Now, you just said we. Does that mean you're going to help us?
He lets out a long groan. And he doesn't seem too pleased by the idea. I did not think that I would adventure again with another Simber in another corner. And I knew that if I did, it would probably be my last adventure. But in these terms, in this current situation with my kin endangering all of the world, I could see fit to travel with you all if you're interested in that kind of thing. And he kind of looks away like,
An honor.
To which Bellador kind of pipes up and she's like, kind of been taking us all in up until this point, just mouth agape. And she's, are you kidding me? You're Harshnag? Harshnag the Grim? And you want to travel with us? And she actually includes herself in with like the party at this point. And then she would look to you guys and be like, do you know who this is? This is one of the founders of Force Grey, a legendary adventuring group that's literally saved the world like more times than you could imagine. Like I thought this was like a kid's story. They are literally the reason that the Harpers exist. You're Harshnag.
Luby just looks over, is like, have you not been listening to the stories I've been telling you?
Yeah. She's just like, I'm literally, I can't believe this is happening. I thought this was just a stupid story, but there it is. The glowing axe, the long brooding beard, the old grumpy face, the freaking dragon skull on your head. You're actually Harshnag. And he kind of leans in. Yes, I am. Although a lot of the tales you've probably heard are exaggerated.
So
it's mostly just Aaron and artists getting me in trouble and me getting them out.
I know exactly how you feel.
Grandpa always talked so fondly of you. Just so you know.
Make no mistake that he's very dear to my heart. But he's also the reason that my heart has almost stopped beating many times also. Don't regret those days.
Wait a minute. So
he lets out a long
you and the boy's father and her grandpa were this Force Grey thing?
Yes. We were
just the three of you?
That's what we called ourselves. Well, it was just a couple of us then. It grew into something much more.
Is that organization still around?
No, Force Grey has long been dispersed and the Harpers have taken its place.
The Harpers. I don't know.
And then Bellador would put up her hands. Come on. keep your story straight. Me, Harper's, remember? I told you this.
Yeah, and I don't pay attention to much of you here. But that's okay.
Well, maybe if you
And I
did pay
was in
attention,
a very
maybe I
bad
shouldn't be
place.
asking all these questions.
You helped me, remember? I'm a little different girl now.
Anyways, I'm sorry, Mr. Harshnag. Like you were saying, yes, it would be an absolute honor, and she cuts you off, to help you, Harshnag the Grim, save the world.
Why are you grim? Grim is a negative word.
Does my personality seem like one that is happy? It's just a name that my enemies gave me.
Like sunlight in the darkness. Kind of as a
The Warren, the jovial. That's what I like to be called.
So,
you're born the idiot.
let me tell you that if you wish to help me, like I said, I believe I've found the Eye of the Allfather, but getting in is another issue.
Is it still up here in the cold?
It is
We should
even
go.
further in the cold.
Oh. It's just
Now, as a small giant growing up, I've heard tales that only leaders of giant tribes were given sacred talismans, things they wore around their necks that would give them entry into the eye. Now, my father had one, and he's passed it on to Strovad. I always thought when I grew up that it was just kind of a family heirloom passed down, but it turns out that story might have some truth to it. Now that's more of an issue than anything, though,
where's Strovad?
because if my brother does have this talisman of the eye, it means we'll need to go to Svardborg, where the giants currently dwell. It'll be a very dangerous place.
How about you get us in?
Well, if you were tracking these frost giants, I'm sure they have a long ship. Now, you will be too small to man the ship itself, and I would need many more giants to also steer it. But there is a chance that they set sail on boats that we call punts, which are more ships that would be catered to your size. I could probably paddle it myself. From there, we'll have to sail through the sea of the moving ice on a ship that frankly has no business being there. The punts are just for getting from ship to coastline. I think that I can remember where Vardborg is. But getting there will be the easiest of the tasks. For Varsborg is a frost giant fortress where my brother rules out of and has a clan of many frost giants underneath him. This is the kind of task.
Just send Sonny in.
He laughs. Don't know if that would work.
You're making fun of me, aren't you?
She's very sneaky.
I am that. I can sneak around pretty good. But and I'm much smaller than you, even though I'm the biggest out of all of us. But so now you asked me a question and I didn't get to answer you. You asked me if I would help you, and you asked me
You
if
talk
I
too
would-
much. But go ahead and answer.
You just told us more information than I'll forget. But if you want my help, and you're gonna really help us, then I guess we both have to do a thing maybe we don't want to. And we know that Warren here, he doesn't want to do anything. And Livy, she's interested in doing everything. And we found out something new about our other friend here today. So I think we're just a band of reluctant heroes, maybe.
Bellador peeps up. Guys, maybe we'll be like the next Force Grey.
think about it. We got Harshnag. We got Senator Rin. And we got Senator Simber. Like, the group's getting back together. And she'd, like, whisper back to her. It's like,
She's doing like the giddy like little fingers like
fangirl.
yeah.
It's like,
Oh, sorry there, Sonny. Did I interrupt you? My bad. She sits back.
No, it's fine. But yes,
Well-
I will help. I
Well,
will help, and I will be here to help. She just kind of sits down on the stool and looks like she's paying attention, but she's not really.
well,
As
You
she
all
looks-
look beat up. I think it's best that you rest, and I'll shut up for the night. I promise not to talk as much as this for the rest of the journey. There's just a lot to
Before we
cover.
go-
Go ahead.
Before we go to bed, how many talismans do you believe that might have been given out of these things that can open the gate?
I would believe that there would be several that passed on to at least each giant lord. But
Maybe there's one that's easier to access.
maybe there is, but I unfortunately do not know of its whereabouts.
Octavius would just have a look of inner thought on his face before he goes to bed, and he would walk away from Harshnag, slowly nodding his head.
If you have a better idea of where to find one, make no mistake that I would much rather not storm my brother's fortress.
And I'd much rather go to a much warmer place.
Well, think about it for the night. We'll rest now, and you can all decide in the morning. And he kind of turns over against the side of the wall, and I actually have a picture of Harshnag. Although he's sitting with people that aren't necessarily you, I can at least show you what he looks like, maybe. And as I say that, I can't find the picture. Here we go. So yeah, here's him sitting with some randoms. They're actually not complete randoms though, but one of them is artists. So yeah, he's in the back, obviously, the giant looking one.
And who are the others?
The others are, one's artist Simber, and the rest you don't know. Because
So which one
technically
is-
the only male,
Oh, that's a female dwarf.
I believe so.
Okay.
Maybe not though, actually, but yeah, he's the human.
Yeah, so as the same, Sunny's gonna get herself as close to the fire as she can and not get burned by it. Because it's cold here. And she's gonna start thinking of her time with her friend Sarissa. And thinking that maybe if she could get a hold of her, we may not have to do all this storming of the fortress and so on and so forth. Because maybe she has one.
Yeah, and as you kind of think of her, you actually think back to maybe like somehow you kind of caught this when you weren't really listening to Harshnag, but like his words, because they're loud and booming, pierce through anyways, and would say that a few months ago, which is roughly when you came here, Queen Neri and Hecaton went missing and are presumed dead. And maybe you don't care so much about Hecaton, but you do remember that Queen Neri and Sarissa were rather nice to you. So
They're rather nice, and it that does ring. And I was listening to because she wasn't. You know what I mean? That does ring into her brain, and that's going to become a pretty obsessive thing for her. Hint, hint, hint. 'Cause now I'm starting to play my character properly. She's gonna be very interested in trying to find out what's going on with Sarissa right now.
absolutely. So yeah, unless you guys want to do anything else, I will say that we finally get a long rest. Does anyone have anything that they want to be doing at nighttime? Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, Octavius would just try to get kind of far away from the fire as he went to go curl up, and he would fall asleep. But as he was sleeping, if Harshnag stayed awake, he would hear Octavius muttering about the worm skull throne and about this item that they're going to search for from his brother.
So you would give me. Now, are you just doing this kind of absent-mindedly, or are you muttering it to see if he's listening?
Muttering it in my sleep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just
So,
like
yeah.
I'm trying to put together something in my head.
In your sleep, then you wouldn't obviously know what Harshnag is doing, but absolutely. The talk around the fire is Belladora is kind of almost like breaking character now, kind of like she's always been a bit like obnoxious and chattering, but she's like fangirling out now. Cyric and Barrick are kind of talking about how they can't leave Bryn helpless, would be Barrick's argument, and Cyric's argument would be, well, if we go to the Storm Giants or Frost Giants fortress and defeat them, then Bryn will be safe. And that's kind of the talk around the fire for them. Cyric siding with let's go on the adventure and or let's go to the Frost Giants at least, and Barrick being like, we should go home now. We did what we set out to do. And that's the kind of talk that they're having around the fire. Does anybody else want to do anything before you sleep for the night?
I imagine Livy would be there with why is her name escaping me? But she'd be fangirling, but in more of the, well, here's the story. This story too. Have you heard about that and whatnot? Just feeding into.
Yeah, so you guys would definitely be trading stories, and hers would be a bit more like probably less filtered and brutal than the stories that Aaron probably told you in his rose-colored glasses. And you'd be like, oh, like I don't know if that's necessarily right, but you guys would kind of be going back and forth.
That sounds more practical, but I gotta say, my grandfather has a way with words. Sounds more exciting. I think I'm going to stick to his version.
Wendell, as you kind of sit around the fire, you see everyone kind of with time passing. Octavius goes and drifts off. Sunlit goes and does her thing near the fire. You see Belladora and Livy kind of fangirling. Barrick and Cyric kind of talking. What are you doing anything?
Not really. Anybody who looks over will notice Warren has kind of cleared out a little area around him of the snow for the most part. He has a sack down, maybe a book or something. Just a simple dice in his hands, and he'll think about it, and you can hear him mutter out numbers, 12, and he'll roll a 12, 19, he'll roll a 19. Because he just kind of seems to be lost in his own thoughts. Not necessarily a panicked look, but definitely a look of worry on his face.
Harshnag kind of would be up against the wall near you and just you're questioning what lengths you're willing to go for these people.
Well, no, I don't mind killing a few giants and having a bit of fun. But if I'm correct in my thoughts, this Eye of the All-Father, if we travel there, we're passing through some harsh lands, mountains, perhaps even a dragon's veil.
Are you speaking of the Clouthen Vale?
I believe that's the words. I've just heard many stories of these dragons.
So you've run into Clouth, have you?
Perhaps.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, because one of his representatives took all our stuff.
You're sleeping.
Jesus. So let's go back to sleep. Scared the shit out of me.
Well, make no mistake that if Clouth wanted you dead, you would be.
True.
Are you worried about getting your friends in danger?
Between you and I, perhaps. Just don't let them tell that.
No worries. I understand. Make no mistake, though, that you will get them in trouble. And they will get you in trouble. And everyone will fucking constantly be in trouble. And it'll just be a nightmare, and you'll constantly be saving them. And on the brink of death at any given goddamn day, but it's the people that you travel with that, in getting out of those situations, It's really what life's about. At least that's how I see it.
Fantastic. Does seem like always saving their asses, though.
Oh, you don't even know. Centuries, I tell you, centuries. A frost giant's not even supposed to live this long, and I digress. I'm sorry. I really don't talk this much usually, but I'm going to bed. And then he kind of turns over and quickly starts to snore, which turns out to be not the most pleasant of things, a frost giant snore. It would pretty much wake everyone from a dead sleep, even if they were sleeping, but you would learn to get accustomed to it because Harshnag doesn't seem to care if you dislike his snoring or not. And a night passes. Although cold, the fire keeps you as warm as it possibly can, and you all get a long rest and wake up. The day is sunny as Sunlet's personality, and the snow is crisp and has not fallen through the night. As you look now in the distance, you can see that in the horizon towards the west, the actual horizon itself seems to be shifting, moving, to which you'd be able to piece together that is the Sea of the Moving Ice. Harshnag would kind of stand up and crack his bones, and they would crack in an ungodly amount of ways. He lets out a painful groan. So, have you made up your mind about what to do?
Well, I did have an idea. Octavius, you still have that shield, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. And the leather strappings, and you can stop lashing yourself, and we can perhaps use those.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Very well. Sonny, we're going to hook you up to this thing so you can pull us like a sled dog, right? Just tearing this ass through this forest or the land here so we can get to the place as quick as possible. So, if that's okay with you.
Well, Octavius would just smile and kind of put his head down.
No.
I was thinking this idea all night long, wondering how you could perhaps help us out a little bit. And once we get there, you can sneak in like your little feline self. It'll be good.
No.
Well, that's all I got.
That's kind of demeaning. There, Warren.
My exact thoughts.
Ugh, that's the thoughts that count. That's right.
What? But okay, so we want you to just what? Just confused now.
Yeah,
I will warn you that if we are going to find these punts, these ships, that the frost giants won't stay long by the sea. They'll assume that the scouting party did not make it and will head back to Svartborg. We're going to do this. We're going to have to travel quickly. We've already wasted a day.
But I have one question, Harshnag. Now, what if we were to take the said punt and just stow away on their ship? Then we wouldn't have to do all that sailing and so on and so forth.
Stow away on which ship?
We might be able to stow away on the ship, but think Harshnag has a whole different other. No offense.
Are you speaking of the long ship?
Yeah.
The long ship needs at least 10 giants strong to commandeer it.
Stow away.
Last I checked, those giants that you tracked are buried deep under the snow. That leaves maybe 3 scouts at most waiting by the coastlines.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's a terrible idea, but unfortunately, your ship drivers are probably dead.
Put it this way, Sonny. My idea was better.
To be honest, I don't think she would be strong enough to pull all you anyways, so it's not a very good idea either, Warren.
That's not the point.
Point is, he likes to make fun of me, Harshnag. but we should probably trek on. So, if we get close to the water, I'd like to maybe see if I could communicate to my friend.
Are you friends with the water
Sarissa.
itself, Sarissa?
Sarissa, the girl that...
You mean the princess of, or the daughter of Hecaton?
Yes.
How do you mean to communicate with her?
I just thought I'd talk to the water. I don't know. This isn't something I do very often. But she did say that she would help me if she could later.
Hecaton or Harshnag's looking at you with like
the blinking thing.
he wants to face palm, but face palming just wouldn't do justice at this point in time. And he just
do it.
So are we going or are we not? I'm going.
Okay.
And he would start to walk.
Yep. And Liffy is trotting as best she can through the snow. I'm going with him.
Me too. Belladora kind of comes behind.
Warrendale and the sunlit and be like, come on, guys. You coming?
What the heck? Have to water god this way.
Beric would be like, Sirik, come on. We've agreed to rescue you, and the people of Bryn are going to be waiting. If we go any longer, they're going to assume you're dead and worry. We must get back to Bryn Shandas. To which Sirik says, if we go back to Bryn, then these giants are just going to come back looking for me. And then they're going to wreck it and kill even more people. I'm going with them.
That's the spirit. Libby was for a moment go back, oh, but we're getting the gang back together. But it's like, oh yeah, awesome. He wants to stay.
Beric would look to you and say, but what of Bryn?
Yeah,
Davies would look to Beric.
Go ahead.
There is no shame in going home.
But are you afraid, Beric?
just
Afraid.
walk.
Afraid, no. But we agreed to getting Sirik back.
And we have him.
But he's
And now
not
we
back.
need help.
He sighs. All right. I'm coming. And then he would begrudgingly come with you guys too. He's not gonna be considered afraid. He says, if this is what Tyr needs for justice, then I'll bring each of those frost giants down in his honor. I will follow you, Sirik. For that is what I agreed to. And then you guys would start setting off through the snow.
Yay.
Yay.
Harshnag kind of leading the way, but not walking fast enough that it's hard for you guys to keep up with, to which you presume that maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. As you do, you see that he's actually kind of using Gert, the great axe that he wields, as like a bit of a walking cane. And you do hear that like him kind of breathing a bit heavy, like almost like wheezing. You could tell that this frost giant is old AF, is the moral of the story. And he's kind of trudging through the snow, and you guys are able to keep pace with him pretty decently.
Probably trying to chatter his ear off and whatnot, and he's not responding, but she's just going on.
Yeah. At this point in the day, he just like basically gives you out grunts and stuff. Like he would tell you that he talked way too much last night, and he's over it. He's not saying anything else unless he needs to.
Oh, totally understandable. Now, did you happen to meet this one? Grandpa Rin always talked about this, and blah, 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 blah. Anyways.
And then, so yeah, a couple of hours go by, and you see that the sea of moving ice, it takes you longer than you would hope, because like you see it in the distance, but walking through the stick snow with no snowshoes. Did we get snowshoes? I think only a couple. No, you guys didn't get snowshoes yet, right?
Libby got one of Tavius's famous
makeshift, and that shit broke right away.
Yeah, it worked fabulously for the one night.
So yeah, you guys, it takes a little longer than you would hope, but after a couple of hours, I'm imagining, woke up at dawn like every good adventuring party does, and it takes you to about almost midday to actually get to the coastline of the sea of moving ice. And what you see is basically just this. You don't necessarily see the water itself, but you see these chunks of ice, some of them small icebergs, some of them as big as islands themselves, just shifting through the current of the sea. And there's few gaps, and you see the giant chunks of ice kind of smashing into each other and breaking off. And the ice itself is moving at a fairly like quicker rate than you were probably thinking. It's kind of flowing like a like a river almost. It's moving pretty quickly, these massive chunks of ice, small chunks of ice, and you just hear the grinding of snow. As you get to the coastline of the sea, a breeze kind of blows even harder as you feel it finally like coming over a bluff and actually seeing the sea itself. Just a icy cold wind that Sunlit is probably none the fan of. And as you look in the coastline, everyone give me a perception check, see if we can track down these ships that you're looking for.
Snow! Ice! It's cold.
So you rolled performance.
Did I?
She was giving you a snow show.
That's awesome.
Snow show.
Still a bad roll. It's a +2 for her perception, so make that a 5.
All right, I'm just gonna
Just like falls over into snow, starts making snow angels again.
All right, so Octavius with a 19, you would see southwest of the coastline, a fair ways down, this absolutely monstrosity of a ship basically anchored a little bit out into the sea. If you were to point that out, Harshnag would say that that's one of the long ships, and it would mean that the punts are nearby, and whoever was left to stay back would be there. How do you wish to approach?
With caution.
We should approach his friends and try to deceive them.
You'll make no friends of a frost giant besides me.
Maybe you should approach his friends and try to deceive them while we stay back here.
The frost giant will probably like me even less than he would like you. I've been outcasted from my clan, marked as a traitor. No doubt that my brother has warned everybody of me. Now, if you want, I can lead. I'm not afraid to fight this frost giant or whatever lays there. But
I got this. I got this. And she and she starts to move ahead of everyone. She's remotely grown to be accustomed to the snow, like remotely. But now she sees all this water again, and she has a little bit of a phobia of water. Yeah, she's not doing great with this whole thing. But yeah, I would like to move forward and kind of stealth along.
all right, give me a stealth check.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Yeah, this snow and such is not good for her.
Yeah, you're not necessarily. You're having post-traumatic flashbacks of your last time, and then coupled with the fact that like even though you're trying to get used to this weather, never will Sunlit be used to this weather.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit too much. It's like a combination of the two greatest evils in your life right now, water and ice, just amalgamating in one monstrosity of a thing. And it's really throwing you off. And as you approach the coastline, you kind of are like on this little bit of a bluff. And as you actually 10's not that bad. Come up, you do see that there is actually one single frost giant and another one of those grizzly bear sized wolves kind of sitting by this giant sized fire, and along the shoreline are, I guess, what you guys would consider kind of like almost long ships, but to the giants obviously a lot smaller. It's more like a canoe to them, but to you guys these are still pretty big ships that would fit like at least 15 normal sized human beings in it. And yeah, so you see him there. But as you come to the bluff, and basically what I imagine happening is you hear like the crunching or smashing of one of these icebergs beside you, and you kind of just like move a bit almost instinctively, and you knock off like a piece of ice, and it starts to roll down the little bluff that you're on, and the frost giant kind of perks up, starts to look over in your direction. He wasn't necessarily expecting anybody, so he actually, let me see if he sees you. He rolled a 10 also. So I guess it's basically like he sees a head kind of duck down.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that you don't have long before he's obviously onto the gig, to which you look back and everyone is kind of like, you just told them to like, hang on, you got this. They're not like super far away. Harshnag is kind of like kneeled down and just like waiting, looking at you in the distance. Do you do anything? This is like your last chance to act before shit goes down. No, you don't do anything?
No. I would like to. Okay, so we're right next to the coast, right?
Yes, and currently you're hearing boom, boom, boom.
All right, and how far is it down to the water?
The current ridge you're on is about maybe 5 feet into the water.
5 feet to the water, so it's even less tall than she is. All right. I was thinking that I may try to climb down the ridge. You know what I mean, per se, and then
boom, boom, boom. Sounds very, very close now.
Yeah, I'd like to try to stealth back to my friends.
All right, go ahead and do so at disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically the walk back to your friends is all but open snow and a ridgeline, which I can't really picture sunlight going too near the icy water. So yeah, I'll say that you make it back your movement speed of 40 feet since you didn't, since you're trying to be quiet before it comes over the ridge and sees you. To which everyone in the distance of, I'm going to say 80 feet, say that she moved a full dash away from you guys, sees a frost giant kind of poke over the ridge and then whistle, to which a winter wolf meets. And then that's where I'll get everyone to roll initiative.
All right, then. Why don't we do that?
Do it up.
Man, I'm rolling 3s today. That's what I'm doing.
3s are nice. Okay. Oh man,
You have my rolls from last time.
That's true. You guys did roll. I think we all rolled pretty abysmally last time, though.
No, I rolled quite well last time.
You know who did not roll well is Sirik on his initiative roll. I have way too many NPCs for you guys now. I gotta get rid of some of these guys right now in this fight. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. That is obnoxious AF. I'm gonna put him up there to kind of space this out, and that looks good. Warrendale, holy crap! Barrick just beasted out. Warrendale, you're the first to act.
Sure,
80 feet away, you see this frost giant.
All right. Did my spells renew? Yes, they did. Okay. Warren will face palm beside you as he sees Sunny just completely fuck this up. Says, perhaps you were right, Mr. Harshnag. Once again, I'm going to have to save the cat. With that, Warren will stride forward. You can see this air around you get a little bit electrified. His hair stands up. His feet are off the ground by a few inches. His robe splayed out a little bit. And it starts at his feet, just the sharp, crackling bit of energy up across his torso. Caesar puts his arms out in front of him, and just this lightning bolt will shoot. So, I'm going to use Quicken spell first. 2 points and do a lightning bolt. Which, let me check, I think is a save.
Sounds like a dexterity save to me, but I could be wrong. Lightning bolt.
Each creature in the line must make a dexterity saving throw. Yes.
All right. 3.
And let me see. I don't have the thing for damage though. I don't know where it went.
You have to click like combat underneath your character sheet thing instead of in like the group or whatnot. Let me see if I can get over to your sheet and do it for you.
Oh, nope, that didn't do it either.
So
it's on combat, but I don't have any. Yeah, there we go. Got it. So here's for that.
Nice.
And
25 lightning damage.
And then for my regular action, same exact thing.
Nice.
So
right.
save and then
save round number 2. Frost Giants aren't the quickest, but this guy managed to roll a natural 19, so 18 was his save.
All right, and I think, what is it, half, I think?
Yep.
I don't know if it'll apply, but I'll just ring it anyway. What does that give me, though? I'm going to use one more to re-roll the 1, 1, and the 1.
All right.
That'll be 3d6. 2, 3.
Let me get my calculator out, as I know I'm going to need it.
It would be 25. It would be down to 23 plus 13, so 36.
36, and then half of that is
18.
a total of 18 on top of what he already takes is 36.
And
nice.
That'll throw me back 20 feet for the 2 spells. I'll just move back away from this thing.
Cool. So yeah, you just hold your hands out and just these sparking lights or beams or arcing things of lightning just shoot from both of your hands and hit this frost giant. The first one, he can't jump out of the way, but as he sees the second one coming, he kind of rolls to the side and isn't as hit by it. Sir Barrick is up next, and he's just going to move forward slowly, just kind of muttering to himself that he's getting too old for this, and he'll shoot his heavy crossbow since he can't make the full distance, and he will miss, which puts the frost giant up next, and it's going to come behind you, Sonny. You just hear the pounding of its feet, and it is going to make its 2 great axe weapon attacks on you as soon as I find you in the initiative track.
I'm on the bottom.
Oh, there you are, way down there. First one is a hit. Second one is a hit. And for you, madame, yikes. You take that. And then let's do this again. And that is a disgusting amount of damage. Whew. Knocks you unconscious in one fell swoop. You see quickly as Livy or Sunlit is running away, this giant come up behind her. It's much quicker than she is in the snow. She's kind of tracked down, and then with 2 sickening thuds of the great axe, just chops her down. And she just, in a blood or like a crimson red of the snow, is just buried. Livy, you're up next. Jesus.
Alrighty. And how far away is the giant again?
80 feet from you.
Yeah, okay. She quickly makes her way over there, tying up her hair and whatnot, and preparing for a fight. She will pull out her hand crossbow and probably won't be quite in range. Let's see, minus 30, 50 feet should be in range for hand crossbow, right?
Yep, definitely.
Excellent. Yeah, she will. Oh, wait, don't roll damage yet, Mary. You gotta roll an attack first. Come on, get this right. There we go. Now she's trudging through the snow with a beautiful 11 to hit.
That is not so beautiful as 15 is your work.
Wide as she's just really just huffing like this is not her usual terrain to do any fighting on. So, she's marking her way over to poor Sunlit.
Do you not have extra attack now?
I do. That's right. I forgot that she's. Let's do this. Thank you.
Don't worry, I got your back.
Well, doesn't matter because again, just she tries to brace herself a little bit, but puts too much weight on the forefoot and just slumps down a few inches in the snow as she takes another shot and goes wide.
Harshnag's up next. As you load up these 2 crossbow shots and you miss both of them, you just see the shadow come over you as he literally like steps over you. The old giant quickly coming to action, quicker than you would expect for how slowly he's been moving. And he rushes out, you just the pounding of his feet towards where Sunlit is. And he's actually, since the giant moved 40 feet and he can move 40 feet, it's going to come up to line with him. And he just pulls out Gert, his great axe. And as it does so, it's still glimmering. And he just uppercut swings at the giant and hits him and chunks into him for 25 more damage. Octavios, you're up next, and as you hear this giant slamming into the giant is a gut. It's almost like a boom of thunder. He hits with such force, and you hear Harshnag yelling in giant, "To fight me, you scum! How dare you battle with a small folk and consider yourself a frost giant?" He's just like unleashing in giant some chirps. What do you do as you see Sunlit below? He basically tackles into him and pushes him away from Sunlit's body. You just see a stained crimson snow 40 feet away.
All right. So yeah, I will I am going to run within 10 feet of Sunlit, as I can only move up to 30 feet. And then I will draw my crossbow, aiming up this other frost giant other than Harshnag. I can't see him. There he is. Never mind. And I will throw that at him.
You do unfortunately miss with a 4.
Yeah, but I'll just scream and try to as well distract the giant as Harshnag is fighting him, so that full one-on-one battle he was at least trying to fight a distracted foe.
All right. Anything else for your turn? Bonus action or anything?
No, I'll just wait until I can get close enough to Sunlit.
Belladora is going to unleash a crossbow, but this time it's not like the stick in the ground mounted one. She can't get close enough to do that, so she just shoots and misses, to which a winter wolf comes charging up. And the winter wolf is going to meet you, Dan, or Octavios, and it is going to make a biting attack on you. Let me make sure this thing doesn't have multi-attack or anything before I get too far ahead of myself. It only has the 1 attack. So it does bite into you, ripping into your arm, right where you were lashing yourself last night, and tears for 7 piercing damage. And I'm going to need you to make me a strength saving throw as it tries to rip you down to the ground. You are able to basically bat the wolf off, and it backs up, keeping in mind how massive this creature is. It's bigger than you. You bash it away, though, and it lets go, kind of just growling at you. Sunlit, unfortunately, has to make a death saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, giants still don't feel that good when you get hit by them.
I'm not surprised.
1 saving throw, as when you're basically 10 feet away from this 10 feet away from Sunlit now, Octavius, you get a look at her and she does not look good. She looks like a mangled mess and blood is just gushing out of her. Sirik is next up to go before you, Warren, so get ready for your turn. And I don't know if he actually has any ranged. He has a dart. Wow. That's going to be effective. He moves his movement and tries to dart the wolf. And he actually hits for a mighty 5 damage. Whew. Shoots a dart at the wolf. Just kind of comes over your shoulder and hits him right in the side of the rib cage. Doesn't really seem too bothered by it. Warren, you're up now as shit has hit the fan.
Hornell just wiping his robe across his face. You can see the blood that's coming out of his nose just kind of smears across the side of his cheek. Seeing that the giant is distracted, I'm just going to go for the wolf. So, let's see. Firebolt. Oh, I didn't target it, but I don't know if that hit or not.
Sorry, I muted. Firebolt versus a 13 would be your hit for on the wolf, so you do hit with a 15.
And is it? Yeah, we fixed the damage. Okay, so. Boop.
And you fix the damage on her?
Yep. I have a bunch of windows that I can't get out of the way. Looks like 14 damage went through.
All right, perfect. Yeah, you did. Actually, nice. That did land. Or 13? No, that didn't go on her. You were targeting the Winter Wolf?
Yeah, with the fireball, which I rolled a 15
Okay.
to hit, and then 14 damage. I don't know if...
Yeah, the damage didn't go through, so give me a second here.
Oh, yeah, because I can't get it to target.
Yeah, so you can either on your turn control-click the creature, and I think that will target it, or you can just drag your attack and drag your damage dice onto the beast and the initiative track, and the damage will apply on it. But
okay.
I can also add it manually. It's not that hard for me. Sir Barrick up next. He is going to finally charge in and engage with the Winter Wolf, yelling out for somebody to help Sunlit. And she is going to attack the Winter Wolf. And when I say she, I mean he. And he rolled a natural 20 against Winter Wolf. So that is a total of 12 damage comes through as he just and slams into it with his maul. That puts up the Frost Giant next, who is definitely at this point engaged with Harshnag. And he is going to try to rip into him. And let's see if he does so. This time, first attack going through, missing as Harshnag parries the great axe that he is wielding out of the way with his. Sparks kind of fly as it kind of bites into the shaft of Gert. Another attack comes through, this kind of overhanding, and Harshnag jumps back. You now see that this old giant is fighting with a veteran's ferocity and skill, as both the attacks are dodged by Harshnag. He, again, in giant, says that you're a pitiful frost giant and you're an insult to the clan. I will cut you now, and you will have no honor. And Olivia is next.
Alrighty, two giants going at it. So she's going to once more move up to get, I guess, within 20 feet now, and she's going to try and see if she can steady herself enough to hit. There's attack 1. Hey, 20. And attack 2. Not so much, not a 20. And so, yeah, she shoots off 2 more bolts, and I believe a 20 does hit.
Yes, on the Frost Giant, sorry?
Yes.
Frost Giant's AC is 15.
Alrighty. Wait. You don't need Erg. Damage. There we go. So 5 piercing. Take that.
Nice. And 5 piercing comes through, sinking into the Frost Giant's arm. Harshnag now up is going to again say that he will put an end to you and swing with a hit with Gert, and then swing again for another hit. And I didn't even realize this, but this does 2 types of damage. Jesus. Oh wait, no, that's just one-handed or two-handed. Got it. All right, he is definitely swinging two-handed. So another sickening slice comes across the giant as he just bashes him in the side of his hip and then slams into him again for even more damage. You just see the power of Harshnag. And actually, he actually takes the giant down, just one into the side of the hip, and then he pulls his axe out again, and the giant starts to drop down to the ground, just like reaching for him, and then without hesitation, Harshnag just chops his head clean off. That puts Octavius up next.
Octavius, now that he's within 10 feet of Sunlit, will he will pull out his holy symbol, and he will use his divinity. Sunlit for 25 heal points. And as a bonus action, he will use spiritual weapon on the Winter Wolf.
Absolutely. Oh, that's how much healing to Sunlit? 25?
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
And go ahead and spiritual weapon. You missed the Winter Wolf. Belladora. Go ahead.
Just
Sorry, you done
saying
your turn?
spiritual weapon has been. Yeah.
Keep cutting you off. My bad. There's like it must be a delay or something. My apologies. Belladora is kind of going to just reload her crossbow and get ready to shoot. The Winter Wolf in front of you, Dan or Octavios, is going to try to actually seeing that it is heavily outnumbered. I don't think this creature will want to fight to the death. So it's going to disengage and try to get the fuck away with its full dash. It can't dash, so it moves 50 feet away from you. Sunlit, you now suddenly feel this warm energy come upon you. You look down and you feel the cuts of the great axe just kind of healing over themselves. You take a big gasp of air and you look and you see a giant's head tumbling through the snow into the sea of moving ice. You look up and you see that a spiritual weapon just flies over the wolf and it kind of lets out a yelp and starts running away as you pick yourself back up.
So the wolf passes me?
Yeah, it is. It disengaged, but it is just like running into the eastward towards where you guys came from.
Okay. Yeah, she's not going to be okay with that, and she's going to chase after that winter wolf.
Absolutely. So it moved 50 feet. How much movement you got? I know you're quick as heck.
Yeah, I can easily make that happen. So I can, if I need to, I'll use the Tabaxi ability, but yeah, she runs. Well, no, she doesn't even do that. She just gets up and she moves enough to do something new. And I'm going to use the new skill that I got. The new ability that I got called Searing Arc Strike. And I'm going to burn all but one of my key points. So it costs 2 key points to use it, and then I'm going to throw 3 more because that's what I can do.
Okay.
So I'm going to be casting, in essence, for everybody else, Burning Hands at level 4.
Cool.
Yeah, she's getting up and she's just I'm using this as my opportunity to just do this for the first time. So yeah, we're gonna do that. So it needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Well, it rolled a 17, unfortunately for you, but still half damage, I believe.
Yeah. So that is 66. So how do I do this? So how do I do 6 of them?
So if you grab the D6, you can right click when you have it hovered in your hand, and each time you right click will produce a new D6.
Okay.
Since we can't figure out how to do the higher level spell with that thing, the custom thing, we'll just have to do it that way, unfortunately.
Or I can just 11, 15, 20, and one more. 25. So 13 or 12, whichever way you're gonna go. 12 damage. And out of her hands, as you've seen her shoot the energy way missile type deal thing, comes what she should have used before, that is real flame, and she shoots it directly at the wolf, and she falls back to the ground and after popping up.
Absolutely. As you do so, you kind of like just get up, bolt after the creature, and start shooting out these flaming radiant bolts of energy. Sirik is just gonna kind of like let out a sigh that the giant has been slayed. He's not gonna chase after the wolf. Warrendale, you're back up.
I wouldn't be chasing after the wolf, so unless there's anything else.
All right. So yeah, if you don't want to do anything else.
No, he'd let the wolf run. I mean, it's kind of running towards me, but I'm assuming off to the side.
Yeah, it's not like running in a direct path towards you. It looks like it's trying to get away.
I'd let it go.
Sir Barrick will join you in the assault. He would kind of yell out that it's probably going to go warn the others, and he would shoot and miss. Livy, you're up. You're also on mute. Still muted.
Sorry. Livy would see the wolf and kind of same idea of Sir Barrick, where it's like, don't want that thing going back and alerting the others. But I imagine the wolf's pretty far from her now. So
Like in terms of distance, 50 feet or less.
yeah. So it's within 50 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome then. Thank you for clarifying that. 1, 2.
Hit.
Awesome. She's getting her bearings. With, ooh, that's a really good hit. Wait,
Nice.
what? Huh. Never mind, that's really good damage. 17 piercing.
17 more piercing. Jeez, that is really good on the dice that you have.
Yeah, I was.
The beast very badly injured. Harshnag's, I'm assuming that's the end of your turn.
Yes.
Harshnag, as he finishes off the giant, kind of drops down to one knee and is like breathing heavily as if exhausted to put out that much effort. He's just kind of like taking a moment to catch his breath. Octavius, as soon as you finish kind of like healing up Sunlit and trying to whack the wolf with your spiritual weapon, it just quickly darts off. Sunny hops up and starts shooting bolts of radiant energy at it. What do you do?
Yeah, I'll whip off a crossbow bolt at the wolf.
All right, that's a hit.
What we got here? Oh, showing the damage. How do I hit something and not have any damage?
I don't think that's actually allowed. I don't think you can actually roll 0 damage. So I'm going to give you that whopping 1 damage that gets through. Belladora's up next, who has her crossbow loaded. That's hilarious. Do you have anything else?
With the spiritual. Yeah, isn't the spiritual weapon still? Doesn't that still attack?
Yeah, sorry. Yep, you can spiritual weapon too. Sorry, my bad. Although I'm pretty sure you can only move it up to 30 feet. So luckily it missed anyways.
I'll check.
Yeah. Anyways, Belladora, did I actually do her attack? I did, and it missed. The Winter Wolf now up. Sunlit, realizing that it's not going to escape from you, it knows that it's probably going to die here. So it is at least going to try to take you down with it. And it lets out a snarl and kind of hinds up and comes back at you. And with its fangs, is going to try to sink it in you for, let's see if it hits. I don't know why that rolled that advantage, because that's definitely not an advantage. So let me roll that again. Oh, because that's why, because it thinks you're still unconscious. But it still hits. And we'll chunk into you for another 13 damage. So that puts you pretty close to out again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm at 27 out of 39.
Nice. All right. You're now up, though, as this creature comes lumbering back at you and starts ripping into you. You're just kind of breathing heavily as you're badly injured again. What do you do?
So it's on me?
Yeah, you need to actually make me a strength save. Thanks for reminding me of that, because it's trying to rip you down to the ground. I meant to say that, but then forgot.
Strength saving throw?
Yes, ma'am. Sir, ma'am. 14 is what you're trying to make. You just do. You rip your arm off and kind of feel a little bit of flesh tear, but it is now your turn. The wolf standing in front of you.
Yeah, she's gonna use her her new brandished weapon for her.
Yes.
And that's not gonna work out well.
Nice. Although you do get multiple attacks, don't you?
But yes, so I'm gonna use my last key point, and I'm going to swing again. That one just hits, I'm assuming.
Yep, and Flurry of Blows gets you another hit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I get one more. Yeah. Yes, there's that first one, and then here's the last one. That's definitely gonna hit.
Yep. All right, and describe to me what it looks like as you finish off the Winter Wolf.
Okay, so she instinctively starts fighting as she has been taught from a young feline, we'll call her that. In the dojo, back where she learned her monkish ways, and even as a young child, they would just beat you until you were almost out like this. So being like this isn't something that's uncharacteristic to her. So, as she said in the past, she wants this weapon because it reminds her of the weapon that her master used back in Azteca. So she's she slashes at it the first time and opens up what a cut that looks like it's underneath the throat of the winter wolf, and she very quickly flips over the side of it, and using the chain itself, she chokes the animal out until it doesn't move any longer.
Yeah, and eventually it tries to fight you rear back, and it has some strength to it, but not to be outstrengthed by you. You pull the comma even tighter, and you feel its life force slowly start to drain, and then it eventually drops to the ground, and you do not let up the pulling yet. You pull still, and as you do so, you just feel it kind of cracking around the neck of this giant creature until eventually its leg twitches a couple more times. Breathing heavy, you just finally feel its life force go.
At this point, you can't tell the difference between her blood and the blood of this animal.
Absolutely. The snow all around you both is just painted absolute crimson. Both dripping from you. You kind of pull your whip back, look back at the rest. Harshnag still kind of breathing heavily. He picks himself up with a groan and just... Next time, maybe it's better if I go in first. You fight bravely, all of you, but my brethren hit very hard. I'm used to fighting them.
That guy right there hit pretty hard.
And he was a chump.
And she rolls over and kind of rolls into the snow, and it feels really good, actually.
Yeah, for the first time ever, the snow feels really good on your burning cuts.
Kind of nice, actually. You know, and she looks up to Octavius. Thank you, my friend. Oh, you have any more of that healing left in you? She's breathing very heavy, and the snow is getting redder and redder as she's laying there.
Yeah, if we're out of initiative, I'd love to cast Cure Wounds.
Yeah, sorry. Combat is absolutely over now. Both enemies defeated. Octavius rushes over and lays his hand on you and kind of sends this healing surge through for another 7 healing points that already looked like it went onto your character sheet.
Because he targeted me. That's it went right to me. That's cool.
Beautiful. All right, you're now out of combat. As you kind of collect yourselves, Harshnag kicks the giant body into the sea of moving ice. It kind of leaves this trail of blood and the snow streaking across. He would say that you could definitely cut that wolf up for meat and furs to keep warm and eat on the sea, if anyone would be interested in doing that. And then he says he will ready the ships. Go ahead, Dan, and give me a survival.
Yep.
And he is going to kind of step down into the water, which is only like knee high for him, and start to get ready to go on one of these punts. And he grabs it and puts it over to the coastline. And to you guys, like I said, this is like a pretty big ship for use, but to him, it's a little smaller in size. And he says that he will be able to commandeer it himself, and you guys can just ride in. And you'll have to be on iceberg duty, making sure that nothing too big kind of slams into us, watching out. With a 12 on the survival check, Dan, you basically make your way through the Winter Wolf with just basically average trimming ability. You kind of part the fur, collect some meat. It's going to be enough to feed you guys for at least the night. And obviously the tanning process, if you're looking to do that, will take some time, but you can at least take the fur for now and try to dry it out and use it as a blanket through the night.
Awesome.
So you got that. And other than that, does everybody, Harshnag's kind of just waiting for you all to jump in the on the boat. He doesn't look too bothered by the cold water.
Olivia is on the boat, looking over the edge, taking
Okay.
taking iceberg duties seriously.
Yeah, and he'll basically hand you an absolutely massive, like, kind of pole or something. It's just like, to you, it looks like an absolutely massive pole, and he would say that the giants will kind of use this to poke away any dangerous icebergs, to which it will actually take 2 of you to man. It's like so big and heavy.
It's definitely gonna take 2 people to man, because I could just see Olivia with her 8 points of strength. It's like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. Okay, someone help push.
Absolutely. And then with that, everyone kind of jumping on the boat. Is there anything anyone wants to say or do? We'll probably end here. This is what, 1 o'clock? This is normally when we end, I think. So, yeah. Does anyone want to say anything before you close out and set sail into the sea of moving ice?
Red.
Sure.
Can't make any pancakes.
But Davius will say a small prayer to Ilmater, on our journey.
And Barrick does the same, only to Tyr, praying that Tyr gives him the strength to bring justice to those who need it. And then, yeah, unless anyone else has anything else to say, Harshnag picks himself up and sits onto the boat, and he kind of is just like in this awkward sitting position where you guys are all like in between his legs, because even though it's big enough for you all to fit into it pretty comfortably, normally this boat would only carry about 2 frost giants in it. So you're kind of like at the front of the ship, and he's sitting at the back with 2 rowing or paddles, and you're kind of just sitting at the boat, and he looks at you all and asks if you're all ready to go, to which everyone nods, and he starts to push through the sea of moving ice. You hear the small sheets of icebergs bouncing off the side of this ship, and you start to sail out into the expansive ice that moves endlessly through the sea. I think we will close out there for the night. Thanks, guys, for bearing with me through that sick session, because it was so sick. No, I'm really sick. Other than that, though, it's always a pleasure to play with you guys. I know that you've been getting beat up by these frost giants pretty harshly. Apologize for that. But
I have no idea what you're talking about.
no matter what I throw at you, though, you all managed to come out on top. So
I'm tooting.
I'm just gonna have to throw a whole fortress of ice frost giants at you and see where that gets me. Until next time, guys. See you later.